Hi everyone, this is Chris Frew. We are live at JP Morgan Healthcare Week at the QNova LifeSciences Forum. And I'm excited to sit down today with David Chute from the Glaucoma Research Foundation. David, welcome. Can you do a quick introduction? Tell us a little bit about your company or your organization?
Sure. So I work with the Glaucoma Research Foundation. It's the world's largest private funder of innovative research to cure glaucoma. They've been around for about 48 years. They've put about $40 million into research in the last 20 years or so. And they're working with leading ophthalmologists, MD, PhDs, and leading academic institutions in the US. And the primary objective is to cure glaucoma. Glaucoma affects about 80 million people globally, about 4.2 million people in the US. There's no cure for it currently. All they can do is kind of maintain and manage the pressures in your eye. About a fifth to a quarter of the people that have glaucoma will go blind in one or both eyes. And it's super frustrating. So GRF's been spending all this money trying to cure glaucoma to come up with good, innovative discoveries. In the last year or two, they've realized they actually have potential cures for glaucoma in university labs around the country, a couple at Stanford, UCSD, around the country. That's the great news. And what the cure is, it prevents the optic nerve from dying despite being exposed to high intraocular pressures. So that's the root cause of the problem. That's the good news. The bad news is the traditional venture capital community and traditional pharmaceutical companies won't invest in these things. They're too risky. They take too long to come to market. And the neuroprotective studies necessary to prove safety and efficacy cost too much money. So I'm a volunteer. I've built companies in my for-profit career, but with GRF, they've historically funded research, which is the idea. Now what we need is the implementation and the execution. And this gap between what universities will identify and find, on one hand, funded largely by the NIH, versus what the venture capital guys will invest in. It's an insurmountable gap because there's nobody with the incentive to make that happen, except people who have a lot of money, who also have some personal relationship with glaucoma, will write very big checks to solve the problem. So it's sort of philanthropic venture capital. So there are a lot of people that have donated a lot of money to Glaucoma Research Foundation and other similar organizations to cure glaucoma. And now, for the first time ever, we present them with the opportunity of now we can actually get a treatment into the market. So the role that I'm playing is not the idea side, it's the execution side. So we work with wicked smart MD PhDs who have potentially safe and effective treatments. They can be small molecule, they can be gene therapy. We package it to make it investable by venture capitalists. So we think, if I'm a VC, what's my checklist to make this investable? And then get these things to be investable. And the lead risk mitigating factor is to show efficacy in human beings. So we make sure we've got strong IP, a good commercial model, show efficacy and safety in humans. And at that point, it's a very investable proposition. So we raise money from our philanthropic donors. We fund getting this gap and then making it investable by the VC community.
So, and this is an exciting project because you can bring your commercial background to a really unmet need,
right?
And you've identified the gap. So you're doing something really creative to fill that gap right now. So you talked about some of the mechanisms, but talk about the accelerator. So you're here this week to talk really about this new vehicle that you all put together.
Correct. Well, so there's a number of things going on. One is, really, for the first time in the history of mankind, we can cure a disease that affects 80 million people. It's absolutely possible, and I'm convinced it's no longer a biology science problem. It's an organization investment incentive problem, right? And what we need are a logical solution to a systematic market failure, number one. And then we need capital by philanthropic individuals who put the money in, and they are out there, right? So we are building a fund to solve this problem. We're working with the FDA to make clinical studies less expensive. We think we've cut the cost by half. And one of the PhDs at Stanford has an incredibly great gene therapy that from all of the data suggests it will prevent the optic nerve from dying. The problem is he's just not a manager. So I'm an interim CEO, and my role is to work with him. We have a postdoc that's on gene therapy for J&J. She's now working with us. And our current plan is for about $8 million, 3 years, to show efficacy in humans. And when we've got that plus IP plus a good business model, it'll be incredibly investable. By a good neuroprotection for glaucoma that's past phase 3, it'll be worth $1 to $3 billion.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's just for this $8 million, three-year gap, my job is to cross it.
Yeah.
So with my GRF hat on, I'm trying to find a network and an ecosystem to help support that. Regulatory, scientific advisors, investors, whatever. And my Renervo gene therapy interim CEO hat, similarly, partners, investors, regulatory consultants, et cetera, that can, or people that won't invest in it now, but will invest in it when I've got evidence of efficacy and investability.
Yeah, so you've built the accelerator, you've got a fund now behind the accelerator, and you're also, I love this, you're rolling up your sleeves and you say, I'm going to take one of the companies through it, right, so we can show investors that the accelerator works. The backing of the Glaucoma Research Foundation supports it with the headwinds to move it forward. And again, you're in the trenches moving one of those companies forward.
100%.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're going to have a busy week.
Keep me off the streets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also really to your point, it takes a village. You need brilliant scientists. You need venture capitalists. You need pharma companies who can do, but you also need to sort of bridge this gap that understands the science, but also understands investability and business formation, right? And plugging that hole is one of the links in the chain, right? And so I did that in my for-profit career. I've had glaucoma for 35 years. My fear is without a change in technology, I'll go blind before I cork off, right? And there are 80 million people like me right now, right? So this is a mission, right? And because it's a mission, I'm not going to make money on this deal. It only works if it works, right? So that brings serious solutions to the problem is really all that matters. And there are so many good people in medical, healthcare, biotech, that once they kind of understand the purpose, they weigh in, right?
Yeah.
And so you can be surrounded by some of this, we are surrounded, and working with some of the smartest people on the planet that are trying to solve this problem, right? So it's pretty exciting.
That is exciting. And speaking of ecosystems, this is a great example of the ecosystem coming together this week. What's 100%. Your experience with QNova, as a partner in that ecosystem?
I met Jim Sergi from QNova, and we've hired them to do our regulatory consulting, right? And they are, his team are so knowledgeable and so helpful, and we need to know how do we interact with the FDA to quickly, efficiently, effectively gain approval, assuming there's something that's effective, right? So Jim's regulatory consulting is an absolutely vital part of the process of bringing this gene therapy to market. So that alone is great, right? Yeah. But the philosophy of QNova, and I think the philosophy of Jim is let's have a network of the willing who are all trying to make the world a better place. It sounds corny, but it's true, right? If you work with really great, smart, intellectually honest people who are just trying to make the world better and solve problems, it's personally great, it's professionally great. And so just through that sort of informal network, I've already met a ton of great people who I know are going to help me in what I'm doing, but I can help them too, right? And I don't know how you quantify that, but it's fantastic. It's great.
You hit the nail right on the head. I mean, those are the intangibles that a partner like QNova and a program like this really kind of bring to the table.
100%.
Yeah. Well, 100%. I appreciate you sharing that with us and talking with us today. Wishing you the best of luck this week.
Thank you.
Sounds like, again, you're going to be nothing but busy. So, thank you very much for coming in and talking with us.
Yes,
Enjoy the rest of the week.
That's the plan.
This is Frew with BioBuzz. Enjoy your time at JP Morgan.